Okay, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends from Sweden and Estonia, welcome to this AI seminar. It is with great pleasure that we welcome you to this joint seminar between our European Digital Innovation Hubs, Shift Labs in Sweden and EIRE in Estonia. My name is Johan Kostola, and I'm here at MITC in Eskilstuna in Sweden. And there are many people both present here and online in Sweden and Estonia. We are united today by a common goal, exploring the transformative power of artificial intelligence in the industrial sector. Today, we're going to hear from two distinguished speakers, Sirli Menisar, which is the CEO Ericsson in Estonia, and Ismail Fert, which is here with us today, the digital product manager for Volvo Construction Equipment in Sweden. Their insights and experience are invaluable, as they have worked on integrating AI into practical, real-world applications. Through their presentations, we will dig deeper into the practical use cases of AI, understanding not only its capabilities, but also the challenges and opportunities it presents for our industries. We aim to investigate AI's potential from a business perspective, considering how companies can make significant progress in development and stay ahead in this rapidly evolving digital landscape. As we proceed with today's session, I encourage all of you, both present here and online, to engage. Let's share ideas, ask questions. You can do that in the Teams Q&A. And set the stage for further collaboration. This is only the start. So together we can use the potential of AI to drive innovation, improve efficiencies, and create new opportunities for growth and more sustainability in our respective sectors. Once again, extend a warm welcome to everyone, both here and online. And let's make this seminar a great and engaging experience. But we will start in Estonia, and I leave the floor and mic to Kirke-Mar, who is the coordinator of EIRE.
Hello from my side. Thank you, Johan, for the introduction. Welcome from Estonian side as well. I'm the manager of AI and Robotics Estonia. And before Sirli's presentation about Ericsson's experience, I very shortly introduce what is AI and Robotics Estonia. Slides, please. 1 second. EIRE Center was established in 2021, initiated by the Estonian government. Estonia is known as a very digitalized society, and we are #1 in terms of e-government services in the world. We have very developed private sector and banking e-services, but what concerns manufacturing and industry, Estonia is around average in European Union. So Estonian policy is to support the digitalization of manufacturing companies, and that's why we were brought in the ecosystem. So from 22, we managed to be successful, and we are a European Digital Innovation Hub. And the first 3 years focus is on the manufacturing companies. What are the keywords of the EIRE Center is that, first of all, it is a demand-based cooperation center. We spent 9 months in 21-22 to actually map around 150 companies, small and medium-sized enterprises, to understand their needs. AI is not something itself, it's not an objective itself, it's for the economic development and productivity of the company. So we have to go into the business processes and understand how we can help. By today, we have around 160 companies. In fact, our goal was to achieve services for 150 companies, and after 18 months, we already have 160 companies. So the demand is really there. We have an AI boom, and companies have understood that Estonia is no longer a country of cheap production and subcontracting. We really need to provide value added to increase productivity. So we designed 5 different services. Around half of our budget goes to awareness raising, training and consulting. We provide trainings, webinars and individual consulting for companies to understand their needs in terms of business processes. AI is just one of many technologies that can help to reduce gaps in production and in general business processes. So we have AI suitability analysis, which is proven a very useful service on the market, and robotics suitability analysis. We work mainly with projects of smart robotics. There are, I think, very few robots in nowadays in modern production which doesn't have AI component in its technology. And what's very important is that we're trying to carry out business use case-based pilot projects. We call them demonstrative projects, demo project, and this is around half of our budget. We aim to implement around 54 to 60 pilot projects. And these are, on one hand, one company gains advantage from this development of testing AI and robotic solutions in a very near market environment. But on the other hand, we aim to disseminate those results to other companies who could get motivation to also invest in AI and robotics. So we make a lot of videos, trainings based on other companies' experiences. And we help companies to find funding. We have a very good experience already with the collaboration with Enterprise Estonia. There are state programs to to support for investments, actually buy robots that our center doesn't do. We help to prepare, and companies actually get funding from other programs and also support from Horizon Europe, Digital Europe program, AIC Accelerator. We have one startup production company already who has received all the services of the IRIS Center, what we can provide, and got a positive answer from EIC Accelerator, 8.6 million euros to actually invest in first pilot production lines. So we also have some very good examples with startup production companies. And we are monitoring our progress with digital maturity assessment. We do use the European Commission tool, but also individual tools developed by our Estonian partner to actually trying to monitor the impact of our services. And what we aim in the future is also to provide services with other EDIs that if we have some competencies that are valuable all over Europe. Companies. Excuse me? Oh, sorry. And also vice versa, we have found experts of other EDIs who provide services to other clients. So this is our services in a nutshell. We work with very near market services. We have a consortium of 3 universities. It's led by Tallinn University of Technology, then Tartu University, Estonian University of Life Sciences, Science Parks, and the Competence Center. But it's quite an agile service provision to by today 160 companies already. So thank you from my side. Feel free to contact us, and now I have a very good. I'm proud to introduce our advisory board member Sirli Männiksaar, who is the CEO of Ericsson Estonia. Okay, thank you.
So hello from my side as well. My name is Sirli Männiksaar. I'm CEO of Ericsson in Estonia, and thank you, Kirke, for introducing me. And it's a pleasure to be here. And let me basically walk you through of some of our experience about introducing AI. But I will look it a bit. Of course, I will look it through business lens. But as I'm coming from Ericsson, then of course one way or another I will look it through also connectivity and data lens, which I think everyone who has had some experience with AI use cases or robotics use cases understands that obviously they are enablers that is very much needed. But Ericsson in Estonia, so I look at also from a supply chain perspective a bit, because also one of the largest scope what we are working here in the country is a factory. Yes, it's a more industrialization and innovation center, and Ericsson as a global footprint, we basically have 4 own sites, and we have number of partners, and essence of this presentation, as said, we look it from a business, but I will also look it from a manufacturing and product development perspective to see kind of focus on the use cases, because of course AI within mobile networks and within our products are quite prominent in different places, but let's have a bit of a focus on this piece. Then, yes, Ericsson in Estonia is around 2,300 employees, around 65 plus nationalities. We are operating with quite large facilities across here. And as I mentioned, the focus is new product introduction. But I very kindly always still call us a factory, because it is production that is running 24/7. So it means that daytime we focus on industrializing and developing the products, production processes, production equipment, and then during night times we basically run the latest and the greatest. And then what we have lately also announced that in around 2026 we are building a new site, which we call a new next generation hub here in Estonia. For us, it means, of course, a next development step, but also, like I said, it's a smart manufacturing, and it is a technology hub, which for us is very much hopefully AI-driven robotics, automation, digitalization, and data-driven operations. So having a kind of frame to take us there. Then briefly about what does the innovation in a new product introduction mean. So yes, we are looking into what is our latest and greatest radio telecommunication equipment products, what type of features. Our design units are working with that. But then when the product basically paper needs to become a product, that's where we come into play. So we start both building the first prototypes up until the fact to basically where we develop the production processes, we develop production equipment, we design for manufacturing, we design for automation, we design for basically the product to be fit for future, and then this is the scope that we are working with the earliest ones. And then it also Ericsson has kind of what we have seen, and I think this is not something, it's only us who see it, but at least for us, this new business reality, we don't call it new anymore. It is a business reality, but what we have seen, that the product life cycles are getting shorter. We have seen that the product mix for in our industry is increasing, and this is where we are using, it's right now we talk mainly about 5G products, but all the previous, most of the previous generations are still there in the market. So one way or another, we are working with that. We see that productivity is enabling the cost competitiveness, and of course there are totally new requirements that have come into play, which is very much circling around security and geopolitics, which maybe were not that present earlier. Plus, there is this sweet spot in the middle, and when we talk from a manufacturing perspective, is that I think we come from a world that there was this IT world and there was this operational technology world. Now we have seen very clearly that these two are coming together. So the IT, OT, and we are adding the communication technology as well, because to connect both the operational technology, information technology, you need connectivity, and that also sets a bit different scene of the skill set that our people need to have. It sets a bit different scene how our business processes are built up, but that's the reality that I think many of the industries are in, and that's also where we are looking into new technological solution to help us, especially as this exponential growth of data. We see that data can really help us to solve different business problems, and that's why we have developed the vision as a company that we have our Industry 4.0 vision. So it's not only AI, it's quite much more, but it's basically from manufacturing perspective, it is developing our own intelligent production system. So we are investing in the future, and our vision is that this intelligent production system is accelerating introduction real-time data streaming capabilities, that it is also using, of course, different modern technologies, but in a center of all that, and it's powered by connectivity. And right now we are talking about 5G. And of course, first and foremost, it is a business lens and how we use that to create value. And also, of course, using different use cases. Some are more maybe in a trial phase, but then many are actually scaled quite exponentially in our business already nowadays. Then also, I said, I can't overlook the connectivity. That's the core business of Ericsson, but it's also our core enabler actually to implement from a business perspective many of these AI-driven or robotics or machine kind of automation-driven use cases. And from Ericsson Estonia perspective, in May this year, we announced that we have implemented the first private standalone 5G network together with our partner Telia. And this is actually one of a quite important milestone for us to scale number of these use cases, because of course you can always argue that some of it you can do with the current connectivity, either with the cables or with the Wi-Fi systems, but we also see that in this kind of flexible and fast-moving industry, there are a lot of limitations, and this is where connectivity comes into play. And also, of course, with exponential data growth, also we need a bit different enablers to move forward. So this has been a great milestone for us. We can proudly say it's also something, but we see a vision toward the future overall that the industries as general enterprises need to get connected, and it opens us a bit different era in front of us. And from Ericsson perspective, all our manufacturing sites across the globe are now connected. And maybe it's interesting from Estonian perspective as such, it's the first standalone network at all in the country. So it's and in the Baltics. So it's a great milestone from a technological leap as well. But then coming closer to the use cases, I think we can't overlook, and we call it the data paradox, and that this is a challenge by itself. Whatever AI or AI use case you want to implement, quite often you go back to the basics. You look at what's the infrastructure, what's the backbone, do you have actually data to do that? And it's basically as good input you get, as good output you get. But in our factories, we are generating and managing a large number of data points every single day. And just to put things into perspective, that we have 300 million connection points soldered every month. So even if some of the more complex products we have, in every single product, we have 100,000 connections soldered, so within the process. And this is very automatic processes, that kind of automated processes that we have. But you can imagine what the vast amount of data you get out of every single point. And of course, from a process manufacturing perspective, you could say that this is 100,000 options to go, something to go wrong. And that's where we see that the data and more innovative solution can help us to really kind of develop and innovate. But then it's also, for example, we have 50 million test points generated every single day. And so yes, it's a paradox by itself. You need to look at the infrastructure, how you handle that amount of data as such, but also the second, that how can that data be used to produce the product kind of productivity, to produce the customer and product quality toward the sustainability, but also how to handle this fast moving and fast paced environment. So that is more or less a bit of a background why we have been so seriously working with that, both automating, digitalizing, and also using different innovative technologies in our industry and also in the factory here in Estonia, because we see that is fit for future. We will not be able to be competitive if you are not doing that. So that's a very clear problem description for us, which maybe problem description as such becomes an opportunity description as rather. But now zooming in a bit on the manufacturing process. So if you look at what does the Industry 4.0 mean? Like I said, we have different use cases across the globe that we are using in our daily business, up until the fact that we have actually AI-driven solution that is scanning our job ads for bias, just to validate that okay, maybe human writing it, are we doing it good enough? So we have, of course, a number of more use cases what we are using every day in business, but as to keep a bit of focus, that's why I'm zooming into the manufacturing as such. And then this is an illustration of what one factory could look like, and you usually have some core processes. And in our electronics and telecommunication industry, we are looking at that, of course, as it's new products, we run different programs and projects. We have a supply chain management, or basically we are handling and building up supply chains. We run the materials across the shop floor. Basically, we have a lot of moving things every day, and there are a number of use cases or challenges that we are trying to find there. We have electronics, we have module assembly, we have testing our own products. We need to repair and troubleshoot is something very essential when you do product development. You need to find as many faults that are possible in a very early phase, because that is fed back to the product design. And then, of course, we constantly monitor, are we good enough? And we are monitoring the quality, again, to get the information. So it essentially means we need to have entire shop floor connected, every single machine to collect the data point. But first and foremost, the question is what we do with the data. And I will introduce just some of the use cases, just to put the business lens. And I know there is some time for questions as well, so you are later welcome to ask as well. One of these use cases, we are using machine learning for troubleshooting. Troubleshooting as such is, like I said, we know something is wrong with the product. We not always know what's wrong, so we need to look for it. And this is very interesting job by itself. Somewhat you could say it's quite creative job. But then, of course, there are people that have a lot of expertise doing it. And this is where we have actually implemented different machine learning solutions to help. So it's a collaboration between machine and the human, not a physical machine, but rather a system and solution to help find different faults. And we have seen that with the use cases we have tested out, it actually reduces quite significant amount of troubleshooting time, because it's more looking at the data, seeing where might be the fault be, and directing engineers focus to certain places to check first. And that's something, it's a very product specific, but it also kind of correlates all the fast experience that we can then use as well. We have been working quite a lot, and this is maybe a bit more on physical world. It's a collaborative automation. It's my slide stop. I will. No, I can switch. I wanted to switch the slides, but thank you. So it's a collaborative automation that I think is quite broadly, and this is maybe very much driven from product development. If you have a portfolio that you develop a product and you will produce it for the next 10 years, then usually very solid automation lines and automation solutions are fit for purpose. In our world, where the portfolio changes fast, especially here in Tallinn, when we are dealing with the latest and the greatest products, we see that these rigid automation solutions are not really fit for purpose. So we have focused more, and some call it more like an innovative, it's an Industry 5.0 even, not 4.0, but we are quite conservative on that end. But this means that we basically in a daily perspective, we have large, I think we have around 300 different collaborative robots across our production in this 34,000 square meters, where we have people working jointly with the robots, and robots doing, of course, a lot of these repetitive jobs, but why it's a collaboration there as well, that they are interacting. And this is what we are seeing, that we have been scaling these solutions. This is technology-wise, it's of course robots ourselves, but it's actually a lot of vision recognition system, machine learning system, because to human and machine to work together. And what we have seen that it is first easy to change. We are using it for a number of different operations, and it has changed us, this change over time. And as I mentioned, if you have a portfolio and fast changing technologies, it means that this fast pace of change and flexibility is essential. And of course, this could be used in all different abilities, but it brings us a lot of agility, but also it actually brings us the quality of the product as well. Then we are working on AI machine vision, and this is connected to this collaborative robotics, because this is where we see that quite often, basically we need robust solutions, and that basically robot looks at the product, the robot already knows what it's dealing with. We can fast switch to make sure that we have a robust process, and then we are working with the right products. And again, this brings us this flexibility, but what we have seen also, in a way, in such decisions, these repetitive decisions, we have been removing human factor. And yes, there is different AI solutions used there, where there is cloud solutions and also technologies as 4K cameras used. But we have seen this again, that it has improved accuracy quite significantly. Plus also, as they see, it's a time-consuming job if you need to do different changeovers, and it has been quite an interesting journey for us. This is something that we have been, like I said, we have been scaling, and nowadays we are using it across the globe for different things. But we do believe there are a number of additional opportunities that we could take. One of these, now I'm moving maybe more toward the connectivity as well, and just to put things into perspective, that maybe some of these use cases where we look at the troubleshooting and where we look at the robots as such, you usually have a plug and you connect the robot and you will retrieve the data. So of course the integration of systems is very much essential baseline. But when it comes to some of these use cases, which we see have been challenges, like because we have a lot of moving things across the 34,000 square meters. So we have seen that it's not most fascinating job for the person to push a trolley. And this is where actually we have these small helpers, these AMR robots, these autonomous mobile vehicles that are in our production. They are moving around, but actually one of the pain points that we have seen over the time is that this means that it needs to be wireless. So we can't plug the robot that moves around in a shop floor in any way to the wall. So it means that the robot who is also moving along people, we need to secure safety, we need to secure people health, and so the robot moves around and it needs a connectivity, it needs to communicate, it needs to understand what's happening around us. So we are, of course, this is where we work with different partners as well, different navigation algorithms, but it also very much relies on advanced cellular technology. And this is one of these use cases where we see this private 5G network is also coming into play, because, for example, with the older technologies, we see that the robot switching from one anchor, connectivity anchor to another, it actually disturbs the process. So this fast and secure connectivity is enabled for that. But for us, it's very much an efficiency improvement. It is also a kind of overall operational measurement that we are using 5G for. And this is, like I said, it's a forward-looking thing. We haven't fully scaled it yet, but this is something we are very actively working at the current moment. And one of the last use cases, and it's a preview what we are working and why we are working. And I will come back to a couple of learnings after this as well, because we are in a journey. It's never something plug. Usually it's not a solution that you go and buy and it works for you. You need to put an effort in and work. And one of these use cases, what we have seen, especially when COVID hit, we are a product development or innovation site, and then we work across the globe with a lot of partners. And in one point, in a very critical phase of product development, we need, of course, all the engineers come together and innovate. But then when engineers in one moment were not able to travel, we realized that it was basically our engineers used their laptop cameras, walking around in production, showing things in a development line, saying, okay, what can we do? And people try to communicate. But then we started seeing interesting things, that first the picture was not clear enough to work on a very detailed and accurate engineering job. Then we started seeing also that this information doesn't go that smoothly. So this is a kind of collaboration of all these different technologies, starting with the robots, adding the connectivity, but also adding different softwares and AI solutions together, because basically we are working as a kind of advanced remote support across globe. So we are working that we can work jointly across different sites. And this is where for our perspective, connectivity comes into play, because you can't move fast amount of data over the regular network. So that's why we see that why we are building this also our connectivity out, because you need to have the infrastructure in order, you need to have the data in order. And it's also very much a simple way, a sustainability measurement, because yes, we need people to come together and work, but it has given a bit different aspect to actually traveling across the globe. It is a sustainability question, that are we flying around, are we flying the products around, or we are having a future forward-looking solutions to come together and work on a problem in a remote manner. And then, of course, we can imagine all sorts of future solutions doing it in a more hologramic way, or that we are not there yet. But this sets the scene toward the next steps. But a bit on the learnings. So we call it an Industry 4.0 strategy, but it actually incorporates all. It incorporates the data, it incorporates the connectivity, it actually incorporates all the different business-driven use cases, and it's all very much a business value-driven. But it also is very, very, like, all comes together when we need to scale. So some of the takeaways from us that for us, technology, we have a product portfolio and we know our complexity. With these fast changes in the world, the technology complexity also driven by, yes, different advancement that is actually beneficial for us. We, of course, see that there are things happening around us in the world that is setting a scene, which puts us a bit different requirements that we maybe had before. The backbone, the data foundation, different emerging technologies, they are an opportunities, but they are also something that we need to be very much aware of. Measure what matters, and execution is everything. And I think this is where I want to bring out the scalability factor. I think it was a couple of years back in one of the data related conferences I was attending, and And I was quite surprised in the beginning that it wasn't very data heavy. We talked about farming the competence, and for me it was a bit of eye-opening thing, because eventually I think we are all good trying a lot of small things out. The question is how you scale that and how you learn and how you reuse a lot of these learning. And of course it is that, are you doing something that is worthwhile from a business? Because we can't innovate. Innovation itself is something that also gets implemented. ICT benefits are not automatic, and this is maybe what I've mentioned before as well, that it's quite often not plug and play solution. You need to work with it, and it's very much a change management question. So it comes with that you actually need to drive change, you need to measure, you need to drive change, and you need to drive people behaviors, because it was many years back, I think all of our people in production were asking, will I lose my job because of the robots? I don't think our people have lost the job without robots. And if you ask them today, would you go back not having the robots? I would assume most of them would say no, because robots and people work together, and the job that they are doing is much more value added because the machinery and technology helps us. But first and foremost, it comes with the digital, maybe I can expand, it's a digital and data literacy. It's different skills, and it's a mindset that we are ready to combine these things. And then this has been very much, like I said, it's a moving machinery. It's not just implemented something. It's about how we change the behavior. And I mentioned in the beginning, we are in process of redesigning and hopefully soon building the new innovation site here in Estonia. And this is, I think, what we see daily now when we do that innovation process, is that we need to envision the future. We need to translate into practical solutions, but it's not a house. People will be still same in a new building. It means that how the business processes are built up, how the business value is being created, but we have a large opportunity with all type of technologies like AI, like robotics, or you can name it, using data for our benefit. So this is something what we are working here in Ericsson Estonia. Many of the things we are working jointly with our global colleagues, a bit insights. This is all from me. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take them, of course. I think we have some time right now to take a couple of questions, or we take them later.
Yes, we can start with the questions. Shall we sit here? Okay, I don't see. I encourage all the participants to ask their questions also in the chat. Until that, I have some questions myself. And thank you for your presentation. It's very interesting. And I wanted to ask about, you have very, very long-term experience in actual use cases with AI projects. And I wanted to ask, what to keep in mind in planning when you start, like, with the bottlenecks?
Sometimes we discuss internally, and this applies not just only the technological or AI or these type of use cases, is sometimes you need to figure out good enough is good enough. Because we quite often intend to find this perfect solution. But if you are working with these emerging technologies, we are working with this something new, something that is unknown, then I think it's sometimes a bit setting the scene that let's try do it in an agile and quick manner. Let's try out. But like I said, it's a lot about setting the scene and also setting the basics. So for me, I think this is the core. It's a very generic answer probably. So yes, if you go into actually planning a specific use case, you will get into all these technological details. Do I have a data? Where is the data stored? How it's being structured? How can I, and also having the scalability in mind, that can I reuse it later? That the solution that we are building, we don't build ourselves in that every time we need to add something, for example, or some parameter, we need to redo everything. So these are the aspects I would say that needs to be considered. But quite often is that let's try, let's see what happens, because you get valuable learnings. And that's why maybe I brought in one of these interesting insight for me from the data innovation conference I attended some while back, was that, okay, it was a data conference. Everyone was talking about the competence farming, which was an interesting term to start up with. But I think I have started using that term myself, because eventually it is try, fail fast, but you get the learnings which you can then apply for the others, and then that is how the process moves.
Okay, thank you. That's an interesting fail fast. We have many SMEs participating in this webinar, and also we can see the webinar later. And we work with SMEs with, could you maybe suggest some tips how to, what kind of failures you have experienced? Because we talk a little about failures, but maybe we all face failures. So if we think about SMEs, what could be 1, 2, 3 recommendations in what to keep in mind to maybe to avoid failures, and if we fail, that we don't go too deep in?
It is a journey by itself, and yes, we have failed a number of things, and we have very consciously stopped a number of things, and that maybe some of the things we have parked because, and I think that's maybe some of these learnings that it never works that, okay, let's fix the data first and then we start building some use cases. I still see a huge value to actually do it in a business-driven manner, that we set very clearly what's the problem we are solving. And that's one of the things. We need to know what we are solving. There is usually a good benchmark that needs to be done. Okay, what might be the best options to start trying out? What are the different solutions you could do? But then I think when we talk about AI use cases specifically, that's where we get stuck in the foundation and backbone. So it's the data question. But so yes, I don't recommend that, okay, let's fix the data, because quite often we don't know what data we need. So it's still very beneficial to do it on a business value perspective together with an end users, because I think I also in my own experience have seen, because quite often let's maybe call it a kind of business representative who is asking, okay, I need something to help me here, doesn't know technological and the technological aspects. So I think it's having these cross-functional small core teams working on it. So it's clear business problem solved, but not that, okay, let's write an assignment and send it out, someone does me a tool. It's never a tool. It's a change management question. It's a process question. And then they sometimes like to call it a 3-leg chair, because if one is the technology piece, one is the business process piece, and usually are solving some active problem, and the third leg is basically the one who knows the problem. If one of the leg is missing, we usually fail, or it takes just enormously lot of time to actually come to the realization that one leg was missing. The chair will just fall over. So I think it's more working cross-functionally, putting together both the business, technology, and probably focusing a bit on change management. Then these questions will start coming up, including the data backbones and the connectivities, and what type of solutions are best. It is an innovation process usually.
Okay, thank you. Now some questions are coming from the chat as well, and there is a very general question, futurist, I would say. What is your way forward? How do you think you use AI in 5 years' time?
Hard to tell, maybe more specific. I would say more broadly, which is a very generic answer as well. But I do see that many of these use cases, some of them, what I showed, are being scaled. Some of them are more in a trial phase, but we see a clear business benefit actually exploring it further. What we have seen, this infrastructure and technology enables it more. But some years back, I think we even got stuck with how much database can get data in. Now we see that we have different cloud solutions. We have infrastructure to enable it. So that sets us in a scene that we can use such solutions in a much broader manner. But I think also in the previous question, but we have also experienced that now, exploring these innovations and the sort of use cases, we have actually paused some. We have gone back, see, okay, now we need to fix some of our basics, and then we go. and then we can accelerate. So in 5 years, I would definitely say that AI type of solution have been there from 1970s. It's not something that now we clearly hear it's an AI boom. But the reason how, and maybe this is my personal interpretation, why it's a boom is because the infrastructure has started supporting it. So we see that we can put it in use in a much broader, and this is where me as a manufacturing person comes in play. I do see that we will not go back. Having it less connected, more manual. I don't think that's where the society goes, or that's where manufacturing enterprise industry goes. So it's definitely much broader solutions in an everyday life, maybe more seamless, that we don't even recognize them that much.
Okay, thank you. We have a couple of more questions. Some time we have for that. Well, that's maybe hard to answer, but you can maybe bring examples. Is that what is the general project time to implement AI in a process step, and what is the ROI, return of investment, in your experience, maybe in percentage or percentage of reduction of faults, or it goes to the KPIs about the problems and the mindset that we are changing the overall business processes. Its question was about project time and return of investment.
It depends a bit on a business problem that we solve. So yes, it's maybe hard to give a generic answer, but I can use some of the examples. And I think there is always two timelines. One is the project when you define a problem, you start finding a solution, you set small minimal viable product, and then you start building it. So and maybe, like I said, you have gone live, this is the first milestone. The second question is scalability, because there is, maybe this is isolated problem that you only implement once and you go live and you continue improving. But I personally have an experience, and this is Ericsson example, which I didn't use in manufacturing context, but I was working with an AI and machine learning solutions 4 years back myself as a product owner, actually, and it was an interesting journey for me personally. But in that context, we were basically building a AI solution to augment decision making in our demand planning process, and we were building something fit for purpose. And then basically in that case, it was a truly global project that we went live across the globe in 180 countries in principle. Yes, maybe a bit more condensed centers there, but we started building the solution more or less September. We went live in December, so it's 3 months. It was crazy. I think I didn't sleep that much during these months. We scaled the first scale. Basically, we went live with one market in Ericsson. We scaled it in March to other markets. Basically, I would say 3/5 of the globe, and we were totally globally scaled with more than half a year.
That's a very fast process.
It's probably one of the fastest, and of course it doesn't mean the process ended. It was a number of other things. So I think you can do it fairly fast when you isolate and really focus and you actually enable it, because that was an investment, and the returns, of course, are coming gradually. And I think basically, as you go with the minimal viable product, and you basically launched or released upgrade every single month. So it was a constant innovation process, adding on functionality, adding on improvements. So it means that the return actually gradually started coming. So in that specific case, the returns were quite fast. Then, of course, there are a number of other things that like I said, it depends a bit of business process, but I think you can do it fast when you have very much invested in it and you have very much business support. So maybe that's a good as an example.
Okay, thank you. And a very interesting question here about the process. It's the innovation and development process. How is it managed in your company? So do you have a dedicated cross-functional meetings? How often? How many teams? Just to understand the scale and how it's organized in Ericsson to have those competencies.
In a very different levels, I would say. Ericsson globally, we do have actually innovation hubs. we have, it's called Ericsson, it's like a entrepreneurship. So we basically can come with your idea, you get, you defend it, you get the funding, and it's actually a global innovation hub that everyone can participate and basically spend your time as step away from maybe your daily job, what you have been doing, because you have a good idea, which we can then nurture and build as a business in the company. So there is an investment to do that. We have, of course, a number of transformational programs that are actually accelerating number of such innovations. But I would say that this is maybe, and we are almost 150-year company, so we are definitely maybe comparable for this digital native or AI native companies in our company structure. But it doesn't mean innovation doesn't happen. So I think we do that daily because we are industrialization site. So it means that even how we work with our products, this core business, which everything evolves around, we do work in a cross-functional agile setup. And it's in a way, you can't do it. Yes, there is always hierarchy and the line management, but line management usually works with the competence and people and capabilities and skills. And then the business is driven, and is it some of this AI use case, or is it even our own product is driven with the skills driven dedicated cross-functional team, because it would be impossible to do it through line management. So it's a very much a matrix innovation setup. It has its challenges. It is long change management that we have already seen, but we also see that it is kind of having the focus and the clear objective set in mind.
Problem-based objective,
yes.
And probably economically measurable.
Absolutely, very much measurable up until to the fact that in these use cases, we do measure adoption, because eventually we can have a perfect product and we can predict the return of investment. But if it's not properly used, that's why the third leg of the chair, the actual business and the user is so important, because if you don't use it, you might have a technically very good thing, but it doesn't matter.
Yes, I agree that working with SMEs, also assisting them to actually measure KPIs and its impact to productivity is a key to also to mindset.
Yes,
why we should do it. Yeah,
exactly.
Very interesting questions here, and we have about 4 or 5 minutes for questions. And there is a question, actually 2 questions I would merge into each other, is about cybersecurity and data protection. That how do you work with that security risks?
Yes, daily, I could say. I think this is a very good question and very, very important thing to highlight. Maybe this was like 5-6 years back. I think we got some, of course, data protection and the security from companies, networks, everything has been questioned quite a long. But when I put it into manufacturing lens, then I remember the discussion also internally that how do we protect company network from, basically we wanted to start plugging machinery to the network, and then there was a question that is it secure enough? And then already then we rephrased that question saying that, yeah, but soon we need to protect the manufacturing from the network. So it means that it's a two-way street. Today we have different solutions, of course, that we both protect the manufacturing, we protect the network. Oh, sorry. So it's very much active topic that we are working daily. And this is maybe this connectivity question comes into play, because it needs a bit different standard, especially we are exchanging a huge amount of data. And that's why I was bringing also, it's a very core of Ericsson heart, of course, the connectivity and 5G. This puts a bit different scene, how you can protect the network and how you can build the cybersecurity in. But of course, it's both. It's a bit evaluating risk. It's a part of the business process, but it is the technology can enable, and then we actually do it through the 5G. We do it through the business processes, but we run full security process for every single these use cases before we actually go live. So it's integrated into the development process. It's never a technology driven, never only business driven. It is security driven from a start. What requirements need to be in?
Thank you very much. And I take the last question about if you have your AI use cases, innovation projects in your team, how big part of it is machinery and like robotics related versus financial and ERP related projects? That's a question.
It's
about
hard.
Proportions.
It's hard to put the proportions because I think it's rather it's both. We do have an ERP, we do have a number of things that we are doing from a maybe this not the physical process wise, but maybe going back to this new business reality. What I was pointing at in the beginning, we have very clearly seen this operation technology, IT technology, and communication technology coming together. And that's a sweet spot in the middle. So I wouldn't even want to separate them. So being a manufacturing site, and of course, this is our core business. That's our core focus. That's where our business problems lay, and that's why we work with that. If you are a different type of business, you have a different use cases. So maybe it's not fully fair to draw a line, but I would say that yes, we do have a number of AI-driven use cases in. Even like I mentioned, we do scan our job ads also with AI. We have our own generative AI that we are using with the daily things. But then, of course, our core is very much what happens in the shop floor and how we can put it into business value.
Business process.
Yes.
Yeah. One last question, then I give a microphone to Johan in Sweden. Is people fear generative AI and decision making, that the control is out of hands? How do you comment that in your use cases? Is there any risk in near future that in manufacturing we design AI that is not controllable?
I think it's somewhat connected to the security question, but of course you can connect it to integrity question as well. Like I said, there is always both sides of it. That how do we make sure both that it's safe and secure, but also that it acts with integrity. I don't believe that in the use cases that we have worked, we see that threat at least right now in that clearly. But this is somewhere that this is in our agenda. So I would say that right now. We have quite successfully proven to ourselves over the past year, and we were afraid of the robots ourselves. Now we have quite clearly seen that robots and people can work together because the decision making and like I said, even though we might give some decision making for the machinery as well, it all runs from the business, driven from a business and business process. If the technology helps us, we usually see it as beneficial. It's more that how do we keep it in check. So I would say that we don't see that directly right now because we do it in a business-driven manner. So the question is, why should it go in any other way? But I think it's a very fair question that needs to be in agenda. And then I personally as well, it's sometimes quite rewarding for me. It's how you use your time in a value-added way, and I'm happy to use generative AI to help me to do memos or even write some drafts for some letters, which I will copyright and make sure that this is really what I want to say. But sometimes it just helps you kind of get out of your head and kind of get outside in view. And this is quick and fast. So in that sense, I still do see more opportunities, but we shouldn't forget it. That's true.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now maybe Johan has questions from the Swedish side. And anyway, I give microphone to Johan.
So, are there any questions in the room here? To Shirley? No questions. There were a lot of great questions in the chat, and keep asking them there. Use the chat to ask questions. It was great, insightful questions as well. So thank you for that. But then we move on and welcome back to Sweden. And before I start presenting Shift Labs and the talk from Ismail, I want to thank Evelyn Ebrook from Estonia and Martin here, Berggren, to make this possible. This is the first time we do this joint seminar. I think it's working greatly so far. So that's thank you to you, both of you. And now I'll talk a little bit about Shift Labs. So Shift Labs, I'm the coordinator of the EDIH called Shift Labs. It has a very long name. It stands for Swedish Hub for Sustainable Digitalization and Human-Centered Transformation. And that's something that is really important to us to work on digitalization, but also bring in the human and sustainable factors as well, because that's the only way we can do this in the long run. Our mission, as I stated, is that helping small and medium-sized enterprises to adopt innovative digital technology, to use that as a tool for their business needs. I think that is super important. And to use also to bring in the sustainability side as well. And one of our important quests for us is also to help bring in people into our lab environment. We're here right now at MITC, where there are great labs. You can test things, you can try out things before you actually implement it in your own factory. So and we have other partners that have great labs as well. So the vision that we have, is actually to create successful companies. That is, the business side is always super important, as Sirli has been talking about. But how to be a successful company in the future, then you have to possess high digital competence. That's clear right now. And you have to be environmentally sustainable. So that is our vision. So that is what we want to create and help out with. The Shift Labs, we have really strong partners in Shift Labs, both from the university side, Mälardalen University, the University of Skövde, KTH, and Chalmers. So we've had a really strong research in production and great educational programs as well. But we also have the applied side, where we have partners in MITC, RISE, and Södertälje Science Park. And we also have this more European organization called AIT Manufacturing. So we have both the strong research side and a very strong applied side. So we have a great partnership that can provide solutions to every question, I think. So what we want to do, what we offer here at Shift Labs is we have 4 different kinds of services. What we're doing today is like bringing companies and SMEs into this innovation ecosystem. This is networking, of course. Then we have also skills and training, where you upskill your employees to make this possible, of course. But then we have also when you can test things, and then that's really important for all companies to test it outside the shop floor, so you don't disturb the actual production. So you can come to us and test things, especially when in new technology. It can take some time to understand it and see its value, how to fit into your production system. And we also help companies to find investment. And often you need to understand the technology to find the investment, to see the business case, but also to have arguments for external investments as well. So that is what we're trying to do here. So we have like a broad smorgasbord, as we call it here in Sweden, of services that we can help different kinds of opportunities for companies. And what to try to do here is also have to like a one-stop shop, that you can always come to one of our partners and get help. Maybe not from that partner, but we can facilitate that they get in contact with the right person. So to reiterate a little bit, we're interested in creating solutions to your problems, not implementing new technology in itself. That's the problems and your potential that is important. But we're working with a lot of interesting technologies. So we have really strong.
Johan,
Yeah?
I'm sorry, I'm just cutting for a second.
Yeah?
It turns out that we can't see your slides. If you could just
okay.
if you're sharing, or double check if you're sharing or not currently.
Okay.
slides are there.
The slides are there, Martin says. Yeah. Okay. I think you can manually. So how do you do it, Martin? Do we? Yeah. Can you confirm it in the chat that you see the? That's good. Someone could please confirm that you see the changes in the slides. Yeah. But Martin, you said so. Yeah. Yeah. I think it works. Yeah. So. We have the technology that we have experts in robotics and automation, AI, of course. That's why we're here today, and IoT, and cybersecurity, as we talked about earlier as well. And also, when you want to visualize and also do simulation in your factory, then you can. That's some very interesting area as well. You can do it in a virtual space before you can do it in a practical. It's a lot of great benefits for that as well. And we have also a lot of services and expertise in VR and AR. And I think that's very interesting to actually combine those technologies together. They're not isolated. When you combine, usually you can combine different technology together. There you can see the real benefits from that. So what do we offer? I think it's really interesting to think about this as in the maturity levels. Different companies are on different maturity levels in different techniques. So they can be really high in one technique but haven't used another one. So you can be on a very advanced level 3 as we call it, in one technique, but you have to maybe AI you haven't tried out. So then you have to go through the process as well. So that we offer is actually, we call it inspiration, where we do demonstrations. We have seminars like this. We can do preliminary studies and have workshop that we actually try out and work with the technologies. And how do I start guidance? I think that's really important. How do you actually start? So then you can come to us and discuss. I'm interested in AI. I see that it's important for us, but we don't know how to start. Then you can come to us. On the next level, what you call more like strategic coaching, we can go more thoroughly into your production system to have a deep analysis of your factory. We can look at the technical requirements as well. And we can, as I said, also finding investment resources for you. And we can also guide you to other partners and other EDIs as well in Europe. But on the very advanced set, then we actually can help you implement the technology in your factory. We can test things. We can actually develop and upskill your personnel so they can actually do it, implement the technology, and also create roadmaps for you so you can have a clear roadmap for your process to really implement new technology. So, next slide. So the AI services that we provide, we have like upcoming here in February. I think the 15th of February we'll start like a seminar series for AI. We have an ongoing offer that's called No Code AI, that you don't actually have to code to use AI. I think that's really fascinating that you can just use very simple technology. The technology is not simple, but the user experience is quite simple. So you actually can quite quickly create the AI models for yourself and your organization. But we also have like, how do you actually do it? And I think Ismail will talk a lot about that. How do you actually create like your digital infrastructure to use AI, for example? That's like a standing offer that we have. And data and cybersecurity goes hand in hand. So that is something that we can offer you as well. And we also have we are part of a great innovation system. So we have from the university side, we have a big initiative called AI at MDU. And we also AI Sweden. We have 2 representatives from AI Sweden here, Svante and Elvira. So look up their website and you can get great help from them as well. So we're here to help. So please contact us if you want to investigate how we can help you. And you can see the contacts information here. So thank you for that. And now I introduce the next speaker, which is Ismail Fert, he's coming from Volvo CE. He's a product manager, a digital product manager there. And we're really interested to hear about your work at Volvo. So please, Ismail. Okay. Welcome. Yeah.
Be connected.
Hello again. I hope you are hearing me well. So if there are any problems with my sound, please let me know from the beginning. My name is Ismail Fert. So I'm working at the Volvo Construction Equipment. I'm located in Eskilstuna. Today I will be presenting the presentation, which is about our experiences based on those which problems can AI solve and what is needed to implement in production based on our experiences and use cases. So this is basically the structure of my presentation. There will be 4 parts. The first part is related to the company introduction, because Volvo is a really big company. So I would like to give a kind of brief information about the company. And the second part of my presentation is going to be which problems can AI solve. The third part is what is needed to implement in production. And the last part is going to be experiences based on use cases. So if I start with the first part, which is about the company. So what do we do? Actually, the Volvo Group offers trucks, buses, construction equipments, power solutions for marine and industrial applications, financing, and services that increase our customers' uptime and productivity. We develop and offer electrified and autonomous solutions for the benefit of customers, society, and for the environment. We have different brands. Volvo Group's brands portfolio consists of several distinct brands targeting a variety of customers and segments. We have also a big global presence with a lot of employees, more than 100,000 employees around the world. We have production in 18 countries, 190 markets, and worldwide service networks and dealership. So this is the Volvo Group. And if we go a little bit deeper for the Volvo Construction Equipment, we have also lots of factories and different product ranges in the world. As you can see, we have the factories in China, Korea, Brazil, the United States, UK, and some other countries in Europe. We have 4 factories in Sweden, Arvika, Borås, Eskilstuna, and Hallsberg for the construction equipment. When we are managing this huge company with different factories and different nationalities, with different cultures, it's important that we shape the world the way that we want to live in. So our mission is to derive the prosperity through transport and infrastructure solutions. So I can say that this is our mission. And our mission is based on some stages that you can see from the slide. Code of contact is the base. And of course, the values, aspirations, and vision are followed based on those. When we say the code of conduct is we earn the business fairly. This is quite important for us and lawfully. And we safeguard our company information and assets. We respect and care for one another. We separate personal interests from business activities, and we communicate transparently and responsibly. So these are the core of our code of conducts. We have the values that are also focusing on customer successes, trusts, patience, change, and performances. Of course, the aspirations are also it's important that we have the industry leading the profitability. Also, we have the leading customers. So the customer satisfaction is also quite important. And to be the most admired employer in the world is also one of our aspirations. And from those, we develop our vision to be the most desired and successful transport and infrastructure solution provider in the world. So we have lots of innovations in our history that I would like to just go very quickly. So we have started a kind of initiatives starting from 1927, which is the safety. Safety was in the focus already in that time. And you could see also from the 1959, we had also 3-point safety belts invented in the world. We had the first articulated hauler in 1966, and we had also some achievements related to the environment that we have achieved. And we started iShift in 2001. And later on, we continued our journey for innovations, and we have now focused on actually safety, fossil-free, and more productive environment. So our long-term ambition is to have those 100%. And when I say 100% safe, Shirley was already mentioning the importance of safety in production from different perspectives. So we have also the same policy in our company. So safety for all road users is quite important for us. Collaboration with other academia, authorities, or other industries in this area is also important. And creating knowledge and sharing the data based on real-time cases. So these are also the source of the data that we are using for improvement and innovations.
Sapere il trend dei matrimoni del 2024?
Cosa sono i trend?
Che cosa andrà di moda?
Oh, beh, in che senso?
Andrà di moda
I can't hear.
We hear a sound, so
Can you
stop.
mute them?
So, shall I?
Yeah, keep on.
Okay. The second part, maybe I should drink water. So the second part of my presentation is related to which problems can AI solve. Actually, I have some use cases from our experiences, so I wanted to share here. Yeah, thank you. So here are some examples that we are working on, and we have some experiences based on those that I would like to share. So I have provided 10 examples. Of course, we have more cases, but I just wanted to give some kind of highlights. And during the next presentations, I will be going down one by one, so I will not repeat them here. So the first one is the AI for the produced components. That's quite important for us because when we purchase the materials or the parts, we call them material in production. Basically, they are the parts. When they are becoming together, we call them component. So they can be, for example, one engine can be, or transmission can be component, or some other parts that are even smaller. So what is important here is that we do different inspections to ensure the quality over there. But also we have started to use also AI scanning and inspection as one of our ways of quality measurement. So that is one thing that I would like to highlight. And the other thing is that sometimes it's quite big components that we are producing. So it's really huge and it's really difficult to carry them. So in those cases, we are trying to also use the AI for advancing our quality methods, securing the data, increase of uniforming quality, and interest in the new technology. So this is a kind of product or component that is from Changwon in South Korea. Another important thing is related to the ergonomics in AI or ergonomics AI. The movement of the body is also quite important in production. So there are different clothes that we can also use. This is something that we are testing to understand the movement of the body, the right positioning, and ergonomic working ways. So this is the purpose of it, and we are also working with different academia on that. Safety is also important, as we already mentioned. So we want to ensure that the working environment is 100% safe for our employees, and we do different things. And of course, the GDPR, the personal data, and like how we are going to process it, there are different dimensions over there, but we have also different work that's going on in this area. Smart glasses and also the virtual bit is also another important area for us. As Johan already mentioned, digital twin, we can also try to monitor the machines that we are produced, and they are already running in the world. That's also another important thing is that when we are purchasing the parts, the material, it's also important that we have the quality checks. We are doing different quality checks, but what is also important over that to use the AI inspection possibilities to understand instead of allowing the human detections. Sometimes it can be also quite complicated or quite longer period for inspection of those. So we also use those AI inspections additionally what we are doing. Yeah, this is, I think, also something that is maybe in different way, automated guided vehicles, AGVs that we are calling. Actually, when we are moving the parts in the factory from one location to another location, depending on the factory, depending on what we are trying to move, there are different AGVs that we are using in our factories. So this is also another focus because that also needs different explorations and use cases depending on what the need is. Yeah, Industrial Internet of Things, IoT, is also another way of using the AI. In some cases, we monitor the machines with the IoT devices and retrain the possibilities and learn the good behavior. So this is also something that we are also trying to achieve. Natural language processing, NLP, is also another way of using the AI and machine learning for our practices. We are using production systems. Actually, all factories are using the same production system and purchasing systems. So the purchasing system and production system are there quite integrated to each other. And what we are aiming here is that from those data that we are using in production systems, how we can improve our capacities and productions based on the AI techniques and even ML, machine learning techniques. I have one example that we have worked with the MDU at the next presentation. So I would like to go a little bit deeper here as the last example, which is about predictive maintenance. In this case, actually, this is a project, ADAPT 2030 project. We have worked with the MDU and Linköping University on this. Basically, it's a three-year project and financed by the Vinnova, Swedish agency. The idea is that finding recurring failures through NLP and LLM in the text-free fields in production, especially for the maintenance purposes. So basically, those big machines that we sell as the company, of course, they have been also produced in the factories based on some robots, cobots, or some other factory machines. But we also want those production is going well, so there is no problem in production systems. So based on those problems that we have faced in the Eskilstuna side, we wanted to have some kind of improvement in this area. And I just would like to highlight that in Eskilstuna for Volvo Construction Equipment, we are producing axles and transmissions. And we ship those transmissions and axles to different factories that we own in different countries. And if here in Sweden, for example, to Arvika or Braus. And there are some cells working with the five shifts over there. It's almost round the clock. So like it's really important for us that we don't really have any cuts during the production processes. And what we have done in this work is that we had specific focus for 25 machines, and we were trying to understand different root causes. And we have also done some kind of calculation. If we are going to be successful, for example, 75%, it can be quite difficult to be successful 100%, but what would be the added value from this 75% that we can also gain from this practice? So based on that, what we aimed actually, what is important here that I would like to highlight is that the workers that are working in the factory, actually, they are responsible for the production processes, but they are not allowed to touch the machines that are actually being used for the production of those machines that we are producing. So they have to call the maintenance team, then the maintenance team comes and they fix the problems. And of course, there is a log about what has been done for fixing those problems. So this is a kind of free text, and of course, we're in Sweden, so main language is in Swedish. So what our idea is that we are of course working with different countries with different languages. So if we are going to have a kind of multilingual approach and solution, that would be quite useful to be implemented in other factories. So our aim is to use it here in Eskilstuna, but later on expand it for other factories. So it can be also like the classification of the recurring situations can be related to the human errors, overuse, not known. The technicians and the maintenance team, when they come, they write, and sometimes it can be quite fast. They are more focusing on how to solve the problem as quick as possible, rather than writing a kind of literacy document over there. And it can be misspelled. It can be also some typo mistakes. So our idea is that if we are going to search for some words that we think these are the key, even though if we write with small mistakes, what we have tested, so it can find the right hits. And based on those right hits, we save time from those previous experiences, previous cases, how we can solve the problem. So that's the idea behind it. And we had already one demo last summer. And now like we have started the second phase with this project with MDU and Linköping University. So we will be focusing on that one in the coming months. So if I move to the third part of my presentation, what is needed to implement in production based on those experiences that I have shown and those problems that we have seen. So actually, I have highlighted those 5 points that I have seen quite important. Having the data and making it available to use. So this is something important. We always talk about like making the data available, but what data is really needed, how much we can really store them, what's the capacity if like we are going to store them at the hot, warm, or cold storage? What are the costs going to be calculated behind this? So these kind of things. So it's really important to make the right data available. Identification of right use case. This is also something quite important. We don't want to explore the things in sake of just exploring the things, but we want to solve the problem. If we have a kind of exploration case, we do also want to explore based on some possibilities that we would or we could provide to the business users, but we don't really say we have the business owners, and the business owners are quite important for us to identify together. Having the right capacity, that is also another thing. We want to have the right and some other companies, some universities for this professional support and to find the things together. And measuring value is also another important factor that I would like to highlight here. Okay, like we are doing some things at the end, like we would like to really measure what the value behind this improvement and what has been solved. So these are really important factors for us to measure them and to continue our journey with new techniques. So if I go the experiences based on use cases, I would like to also have a kind of little bit holistic approach here. Fundamental rights, ethical principles, transparency of the data and processes, prediction and defining scope, purchasing of equipment within the scope of maintenance, support, added value, and performance. So these are quite important. If I start with the fundamental rights, I will say that compliance with the EU Act, acting according to the national laws, respecting the fundamental rights, data governance, human oversight, and transparency. So these are quite important for us when we are working with the AI. And these are also in line with our code of conduct and company values. Ethical principles also is quite important because sometimes you cannot really solve everything with the law, but you need to also think from the ethical perspective, and the ethical principles are really important, which is well-founded standards of right and wrong that describe what human ought to do. So we have business ethics, values and culture, the Volvo Group values, code of conduct, ethical decision making, and internal consultation possibilities that colleagues can come us and they can ask what would be the ethical from their perspective that they would like to implement. Transparency of the data and processes, that is also another important step for us because we are working with really big amount of people having different backgrounds. So understanding the data is also one step, but making the data available, we already mentioned, and understanding the processes is also quite important. We want to know and we want to understand if like we are using the right methodology, and also it's quite important that explanation of the methodology that has been used also quite important in order to have the ownership and consistency in the processes. And when it comes to the prediction, defining the scope, the expected value is quite important over there. Requirement for the achievement. So these are kind of preconditions that I would say: trustworthy AI and responsible AI. So when we are producing, for example, a minimum and maximum range of the possibilities, it's not really that much responsible AI, I would say. So like it should be really telling what is really supposed to be done in that area. So therefore, like I was mentioning, the trustworthy AI, that we are also working together with the MDU in this area. Purchasing of the AI-related equipment. So yeah, we are purchasing different equipment, and when we are purchasing those, need for the purchasing of the equipment to be used in the production. So this is really important for us to understand the need. And quick maintenance, this is another dimension for us to secure the break time. Easy approach to the supplier for the support. So that is also quite important. High performance, that we also measure the performance. Measurement of added value that we also do internally to understand what product would be much better compared to the other one, what other possibilities exist. So these kind of evaluations that we are doing. And as the company, we have the goals: quality, sustainability, capacity, and cost. So we are also doing this kind of analysis from different perspectives. Of course, our desire is decreasing the cost in production, increasing the speed and quality in production in general, based on those purchased equipment. So that was my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can have a short. So, thank you, Ismail. I can take my computer and stuff. You can please stand there, I think. So we have to do the standing version here, I think. I can start up with some few questions. How do you actually secure the quality of the data? How do you manage? You have so many different AI projects. You have so much data. How do you actually handle it, like from a data infrastructure side? So you should not every operator can't do their own AI project by themselves. So how do you handle it on a more global scale at Volvo?
Yes, in Volvo, as Volvo, I already mentioned, we have different companies and TDBAs. Within the scope of Volvo Group, we have the security team for the data security.
Yeah.
So they are working for the security of the data. But within our each TDBA, each organization, we have also security team that they are also advising, and they are doing these kind of checks if there are some kind of possibilities of some data leakages or some risks that they see. So like they also advise us how to improve them. So we do on those inspections regularly, and we have a kind of team dedicated to ensure the data security. And
yeah, so you have like a team dedicated to help out with. Yeah, yeah, that's good. Yeah, because that was another question actually from that was asked earlier to Sirli. Is actually, do you have like a cross-functional teams and meetings when you're discussing and you're creating the project and strategy for AI specifically, that because there are so many issues. There's the human side, it's the data side, and the production side and security side. So do you have that setup that you have like a team for AI questions?
Yeah, actually, I mean, we have a really huge company, and we have like different factories. So like, we don't really have much line management formalities. So like we have like teams that are working, for example, with AI, but in the factory, for each factory, we have also another dedicated team that is working for the improvement of that specific factory. So like we have like maybe horizontal, but also vertical structures that we are working together. And I am also having like the central team, and we have also the local teams. We have like universities. So we just need to communicate quite well so that we don't really invent the wheel again and again, and we share our practices. And therefore, like we have different internal meetings, and we share those explorations. Sometimes we have like exploration cases. Sometimes we have the specific problem cases that we are focusing on. For example, the one that I was mentioning, the predictive maintenance, the idea is to start in Eskilstuna, but of course, like later on to continue with our other 3 factories in Arvika, Borås, and Hallsberg, and later on to also use them in the world, not only in Volvo CE, but also we are interacting with other companies within the Volvo Group, so that like we can use our possibilities together.
Yeah. I can just repeat the question because the question was, how do you scale it? How do you take one solution from one site to another site? So.
Yeah, there are advantages also being a big company. So like we have a dedicated team per factory, which is only focusing on maintenance, but we have also the colleagues that are focusing on the AI and machine learning, ML, and we have also a central team for the coordination. So we have like a similar thing that's Sila was mentioning. We have also a factory for tomorrow for the companies, for the factories that we are working together, so that for each factory we have the smart factory team that they are working together among themselves. And of course, the factory manager is the one who is deciding what is really needed over there. But it's coming a little bit more from those persons. So, for example, in Eskilstuna, maybe we don't really exactly using the same machines that are in Arvika, so they are totally different. But from those experiences, from the maintenance team that they are interacting with each other, it's also quite useful for us to understand which model or which way would be the better way for improving our factories. And if like we want to use the same machines or we want to change them, to which direction we should go, these kind of questions are a little bit more specific to the domain. So like we are using the domain experiences over there.
Yeah, the internal communication is so important when you have like a technology like AI, because it's moving so fast. So you don't know. You can do great things at different sizes, you mentioned, but also on a personal, individual level, so because some people are really good and really advanced, and you have to really bring in that knowledge into the company. Yeah.
Yes. And it's really important that, I mean, we try the things. It's sometimes possible that we have the opportunity of discovering new things, and we are able to use them as a kind of use case in one factory. But how we can really have the sustainability and ownership of those innovations, this is also something that also we work.
That's super important for you.
So I would say that the company culture is also helping us a lot in that area. So because like we are working like with different cultures, and we have really internal meetings, and I have like regular meetings in the morning with Korea, China, and during the daytime a little bit more in Europe, and in the afternoon with Americas region. So this is a kind of circle. After some time, like you are getting used to that. If you don't communicate, so you feel that there's something wrong over there.
That's a bad sign when you don't hear anything. Are there any more questions here in the room or right now? The question was, are there any resentment or hesitation from the employees when you're using AI? It's a lot of individual data that is collected, but it's how do you handle that?
Actually, it's a good question. There are different dimensions that I would like to answer. Of course, like from the workers' perspective, I mean, we want our factories is the best workplace in the industry. So this is quite important for us that the workers are feeling safe and secure in the working environment. So even though like when we were mentioning about those ergonomic clothes or the walking places in the factories, those cameras or these kind of things, we also do this kind of explorations, how they are going to be affected from the personal data perspective, because this is not really the way that we are supposed to get the data. So our aim is to increase the safety. So therefore, like we are quite dedicating lots of efforts to be in line with the GDPR and personal data over there. But the second thing is also that it's a kind of learning journey for the people, especially the ones who are newly recruited. So like it's also helping them like to work in the right place. So that is also another thing. But from the also colleagues among ourselves, of course, like we have like variety of people, and there is always question, okay, what's the value behind this? Why are we working with AI? So from different perspective, of course, we need to clearly explain what the goal behind each
Yeah, that's
activity.
important.
So maybe not everyone is really interested in AI, so it's a little difficult to explain the methodology itself, but I do see the competence level within the Volvo that everybody has high skills. So it's really important to explain what's the need for that one. So once this is being explained, the resistance through the AI practices is getting lower and lower.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, thank you. I don't know if there are any questions in the chat. Maybe Kirke, and do you see the chat and can?
Yes, we do. And first of all, thank you, Ismail, for a very, very interesting presentation. And thank you. And maybe the first question from Evelyn.
Yeah, hi there. We do have a few questions. I'll just continue on and ask the first one, which is focused on hardware. So do you generally already have the hardware needed for the machine learning use cases that you do in Volvo? Or do you need to purchase the new sensors or the rest of the hardware? How do you usually go around this? It's a specific question about the process of tools that you use.
Yeah, for the hardwares in each factory, we have the technology center or like lab, or we have also technology center. So like from those technology centers, there is possibility to work together with the hardware. So we have those possibilities. We have also even external support in some cases. For example, we are working together with the MITC. So we have also the possibility to come here and to work together with the MITC. But basically, yes, we do have those capacities that we have dedicated colleagues. For example, we have manufacturing engineerings that are specifically focusing on those. And our idea is, of course, like how we are going to implement them in our factories. Therefore, like once we have the possibility, we don't really have much difficulties of having those hardwares because we are really working with our components or with our machines that we want to improve. So this is quite possible in our possibilities. And we are working also sometimes together with the technology department, which is also quite integrated, not only the production, but also together with the technology. So this also gives us possibility, for example, if we want to improve one part, replacing it with another part. So if it's going to be like cost, quality, capacity, or some other perspective that we would like to implement. So we do this kind of tests in the hardware as well.
Thank you. So all opportunities are included. And I passed on another question for Kirke to ask.
Yes, there's a question about large language models, popular questions after the GPT-4 in the market, and of course there are other large language models. But do you foresee or plan future use cases using large language models and maybe AI agents, chatbots inside your factory, your global network? Do you see that importance?
Yeah, we are using the chatbot actually already in our purchasing system. So that is already in practice. When it comes to the NLP processes, also we have the production systems. And in the production systems, we have also the free text areas, for example, for inspections of the machines or the parts that we are purchasing or the processes that we are doing different tests, quality tests. So we have free text areas. So we also we are aiming to get those data from the production system and use it for different NLP models. So, yeah.
I can ask you a question, follow up. I think that's really interesting. We've been talking about that here at the university where I'm employed. That can you use the data? There's a lot of data from meetings, for example. You can automatically transcribe meetings, for example, record meetings and transcribe them, and that's one way. And you have a huge amount of documents probably in your I've been thinking about that because that's a really interesting question for me. That can you use actually use the meetings, but also the documents all the kinds of documents that you have to come up with new interesting things?
Yeah, actually, depending on the meeting, I mean, we are using the technology sometimes, like it's possible to record or like to get the transcriptions or like to get the summary of those. I mean, we have all those possibilities to use them, but to put them like automatically in a kind of pool and then like to analyze, we don't really do these kind of things automatically.
No.
We are working also like Copilot with Microsoft. So that is also like one thing that we are working. But as I already mentioned, the data itself is quite weak in our company. So like our idea is to define what is the valuable data.
Yeah,
because we don't really have much problem with the data, but what is the valuable data? What should be available for further analysis? So that is the challenge for us. So therefore, like we are really picky to store the data to use them for the future.
Yeah. Any more questions in the chat?
Not in the chat, but I would love to ask one more question from myself, and it's about change management. And innovation is all about becoming over the fear of failure. It's a question from the psychology field, but that impacts a lot of decisions in innovation and investments. What is like the key factor when you lead the team to overcome fear of failure?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, and most of the problems actually are somehow like if we look at the root cause, so it is also related to the change management. Yeah, we have also regular trainings and internal trainings related to the change management. For example, we are working with ADKAR or ProSci change management systems, and we are working together with those companies to increase and improve our change management mentality. So we have also change management facilitators in the company, so like we are working together with them. And when we are working, for example, data literacy that I am working, for example, so like we have also the change management model in that, so that we can also think from that perspective. So it's like a similar thing, especially for all those specific use cases that we are working together. So we need to have that approach. That's quite important. So therefore, like we are following those models per se, for example, to have the advancement with the mentalities of the colleagues, how they are going to change their mind. Of course, the acceptance is, I think, the ground for this. So first, like to explain the situation and opportunities, I think they are also important to be also explained over there. And after that, if it is really well explained, I would say again, like the acceptance and implementation is easier. There are of course some other challenges behind this journey, but that would be at least what we are doing with ProSci and ADKAR models that in Volvo CE.
Yeah. Great. I think that probably should be the last question, so we can wrap this up. First of all, I can just give a hand to Ismail here. I think that's, I think was a fascinating presentation and interesting questions as well. And I think this will be really interesting to do this in 5 years' time to see what I think a lot of have happened done. So it's, I think that will be, we will invite you again in a couple of years' time. So I want to wrap this up from the Swedish side, just to thank everyone who is here and everyone who's been online. So that's so keep in touch. Contact us if you want something to be done in AI or other Industry 4.0 questions. So I give the word to you, Kirke, to wrap this up.
Thank you, Johan. And first of all, thank you for the presenters. Thank you, Shift Labs team and Johan. And from IRES side, special thanks to Evelyn, who all put it together. She put it together, the technical part. And what I wanted to say in conclusion is just to encourage all the participants to contact us and to overcome the fear of failure. And we can help in preparation of your digitalization road, and to encourage you and also to analyze your business processes, how actually digitalization helps to increase the productivity. I really like the practical KPI-based approach that each AI project can be measured economically, and that's what we're trying to do with all the IRES services as well. And I really encourage you to contact, and thank you for your participation.
Thank you from my side as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
let's have lunch.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, it's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, it's a little bit,